Hello, BookTube. I've got a little bit of mail for you today, but before we jump into that, I have to thank you all for the responses, the overwhelming tsunami of responses that I've been getting to that sorry, sad sack, whining, self-pitying video that I made yesterday, where I basically got on camera and said, I'm having a bad day. I went on at enormous length about it. That was also a mail haul. And that was also, I've got two packages here, same as yesterday, but I prefaced it for 40 minutes with complaining about having a bad day. One of those days when it just feels like the day is against you and there's nothing you can do to turn it around. I don't know, actually, looking back on it, what possessed me to make such a video or to go on at such length. I know as well as anybody, whether you want to admit it or not, that doing that sort of thing only makes it worse. That only makes it worse. This is one of the main reasons. Complaining about things without doing anything about them is one of the main reasons. Complaining about things without doing anything about them never works. It never gets a good result. It only makes things worse. It only deepens and prolongs whatever it is that you're complaining about, which is the main reason that I object to psychotherapy in a concept. And I know that. I know that perfectly well. And yet I succumbed to the very social media maladies and mind frames that I was talking about in that video and made a long woe is me video. And it had a positive effect. It didn't make me feel any better. Endlessly complaining about your woes never makes you feel any better. If you want to feel better about your woes, ease somebody else's woes. That's the only way to do it. The only way that works, that doesn't make you a raging narcissist. And I don't want to be any more of a raging narcissist than I already am. I don't think BookTube needs any more raging narcissists. But it did have a positive effect because I got more responses to that whiny, self-pitying video than I have to, I don't know, all the videos I made in the last week, and that's 600 videos. People writing to me and saying, feel better. A lot of people writing saying, feel better. But also a lot of people, a curiously large number of people, writing and saying, I also have rotten days sometimes, and hearing you describe yours in such, a note that came up over and over again, hearing you describe yours in such self-aware terms. Because I wasn't saying in that video that things are never going to get better. I wasn't saying this is just the new reality. My days are always going to be bad. I was acknowledging in that video that this is just a mood. It's just a way to look at the world. It will pass. But I was in the middle of it, and it was making me feel miserable. And a lot of people wrote and said, boy, that hit the spot. That really hit the spot. And also, almost everybody that wrote emails also sent pictures of their dogs to make me feel better. Dogs of every age, of every description, in every state of pampering. Just every single state of pampering. One of you sent me pictures, I'm sure you're watching, one of you sent me pictures of your little princess, smaller than Frida, ensconced on a gigantic sea of velvet pillows. And another one, same day, within an hour, sent pictures of your two dogs, your two boys, outside on the porch in the snow, happy as could be. So I got the full gamut, and it was wonderful. I wanted to thank you for that. That was not what I was going for, believe it or not. I was not fishing for that. It was just an added benefit. I did exactly what I said I was going to do in that video. I made videos to talk to my imaginary BookTube friends, and then I just hung things up. I just hung it all up and read pretty much all night long. So I read, with the green banker shaded bedside lamp until little baby Frida starts to be irritated by any light at all. When she starts to fall into really deep sleep, she doesn't want there to be lights on. So then I switch to the e-reader, which has it's the same advantage of the little soft built-in light on the e-reader for me as it does for all the married couples out there, where you've got someone in the bed with you who's annoyed by the light. Works perfectly well, and that pretty much cured things. I am, I think, by default not a whiny, doomy, gloomy, self-pitying person, so that worked, I think. I just wanted to thank you all. I'm hoping, no matter what, I did not get anything fixed. That annoying freelancer is still out there. Something that happened with the updates to my Chrome on all of my devices prevents me from seeing myself when I do a live stream. I have confirmed with the help of a couple of other people that everything else works fine. The audio works fine, and also the recipients, you can actually see me on the live stream. I can't see myself. I can see the chat, but the actual home screen in the YouTube studio or whatever is just my background. It's not me. So, for instance, if I wanted to show you something, if I wanted to show you Blob Watch or something like that, I couldn't do it without, I'd be just guessing at what you were seeing. To me, that seems obviously to be a trivial problem. There's nothing wrong with the camera. There's nothing wrong with the software. See, it seems obvious to me that that is going to be what a lot of you emailed and described, which is someone just flicking a switch, just literally taking 5 seconds to do it. I feel certain that that can be fixed, and it's not like I do a lot of Steve streams anyway, so the problems haven't gone away, but the attitude has definitely just swept out completely. So we won't have any of that, I hope, again. But I wanted to thank you all. Your response to that video is why I do this. I do this for real connections, not for metrics or for AdSense money. I do this for real connections, and those are real. That's as real as it gets. For you to reach out to someone's private email, it's not all that private, it's all over the internet, but nevertheless, it's for you to reach out to someone's email and say, as so many of you did, hey, I don't really know you, but I feel what you're going through. I just wanted you to know I'm thinking about you or whatever. That is not a parasocial relationship. That is real, and that felt wonderful. It even to a limited extent, although it galls my South Boston Irish Catholic soul to say so, cheered me up. So that, I'm hoping that's behind us now. Let's do the mail, and it's once again a tale of two boxes. Just like earlier this week, I'm being taunted by the box gods because there's one thing I want more than anything, that when it arrives, will arrive in a box, and it just will not arrive. Like I was mentioning last night in the self-pity video, I think it might, the more I think about it, the more I think it might just be a simple occasion of the thing literally being lost. And that never happens. It's like they say in med school, if you hear hooves, don't think zebras. Think horses. Think the most common thing. It is almost unheard of for me for a package that I'm involved with, either mailing or receiving, to simply vanish. I'm guessing this one has, but it's easy come, easy go. So neither one of these boxes is that. These are both from publishers. One of them is very small, and one of them is very large. So one of them will be a tiny book, maybe a slim volume of poetry, and the other I think will be multiple books. There's only one really big book that I want, and I'm not going to get it. I don't think I'm going to get it. So what is this first one? Oh, okay, wonderful. All right, this comes out in late April. A publicist reached out to me about this, and at first, my very first reaction was, can you make a whole book about this? Based on what we have, based on what we know? And then I thought, well, if you can, it'll be an interesting book. And it's not a long book, it's 150 pages. So this is by Michael Bastine and John Volpe, and it's called Birds Through Indigenous Eyes, Native Perspectives on Birds of the Eastern Woodlands, which is, Dennis Gaffin did this in collaboration with Michael Bastine and John Volpe. It took 3 of them to get them across the 150-page line. For many hours over a period of years, white anthropologist Dennis Gaffin, why do I need to know his skin color? Is it because I'll value his work more? And 2 indigenous friends, Michael Bastine and John Volpe, recorded their conversations about a shared passion, the birds of upstate New York and southern Ontario. In these lively, informal talks, Bastine, a healer and naturalist of Algonquin descent, and Volpe, a naturalist and animal rehabilitator of Ojibwe and Métis descent, shared their experiences of and beliefs about birds, describing the profound spiritual, psychological, and social roles of birds in the lives of some indigenous people. Neither one of you has any expertise in indigenous history. So what? Am I supposed to believe it's genetic? Is this the Bene Gesserit? Is that what this is? I guarantee you, that both of you are a lot further from your people's cultural beliefs about birds and a lot less knowledgeable about them than, for instance, I am about my own people's cultural beliefs about birds in connection with the Virgin Mary or whatnot. It's an angle. Every book needs an angle, and it's just a pub sheet. We don't know what the book will be like. A fraction of your blood workup doesn't give you the standing. I'm hoping that some of the other things in their personal accomplishments gives them the standing. This book presents highlights of these conversations, placing them in context and showing how native understandings of birds contrast with conventional Western views. You don't have native understandings of birds, for Pete's sake. You've been going to Wendy's and IHOP your whole life. You've been playing video games since you were 13. You don't have a native understanding. These are just IHOP conversations that are being recorded. What is this going to be? Am I going to get to age 60 and just be up to my eyeballs in stories your Grammy told you? Well, all right. We get something about David Gaffin as well. He's a professor emeritus of anthropology at SUNY Buffalo. Okay, all right. Well, the bio paragraph at the bottom tells me David Gaffin's qualifications. He's a professor emeritus of anthropology. That actually is a qualification for the subject described in the title and subtitle of this book. And then it moves straight on to the other two, Michael Bastine and John Volpe, and talks only about their DNA. So I don't know what I'm supposed to do about that, and I don't know how many experts I'm getting here. But it's a tiny little thing. I wonder if is it illustrated? Yes, it is illustrated. Oh, how wonderful. Okay. And the illustrations are good, too. Good Lord. Let's get you another one. Oh, that is nice. Okay, so there's full-page illustrations and spot illustrations. Who are they by? They are quite good. And also kind of familiar. Oh, look at that. Title of the book, cover of the book, no illustrator mentioned. That's bad. Okay, they're both listed as interviewees. Okay, all right. But who did the pictures? Who did the pictures? Publicity, production, text and jacket design, production editorial, classifications, subjects, identifiers, description, title, names. Who did the illustrations? I get the type font. I get the type font and everything. The jacket credit. This is the jacket credit. But what about the illustrations that go throughout the book? They certainly aren't the same person. And they seem kind of familiar to me. They seem like I've seen them before. They're very good. I'll have to find out. But anyway, that is late April, and that's good because I am very reluctantly, but I am assembling my April books. I mean, it's the 27th. Believe it or not, March doesn't have long to go, and that means that the new arrangement for my new books, my work books, that has to get field tested for the first time. David Murphy and I rearranged the books in this room, some of them. And that shelf was one of them. And it looks like it works just fine, but it hasn't been field tested. The field test for that shelf is the monthly move up of the books. And that hasn't happened yet. So I'll do that, I don't know, today, tomorrow. I'm always reluctant and a little bit melancholy. And the last thing we need is more melancholy on this channel. I'm always a little bit melancholy when I do that because I like to do it with someone. And I'm not going to have anyone to do it with this time around. I'm just going to have to stand over there like a common bridge troll and do it myself, do it alone. But anyway, let's move on to this next thing, which is a huge box. It's big and it's heavy. So I'm thinking that it has... God, this thing weighs a ton. I'm thinking that it has multiple books in it. And it's not coming quietly, which is really bad because that could mean that it's not books I want. Let's see. Let's just get rid of all this stuff. All this bubble wrap. Let's get rid of all that. Okay, it's 2 books. So let's see what we have here. 2 books. Oh, okay. Oh, right. I talked to, are these from University of Chicago? I talked to the publicist about this. This is by Felipe Fernando Amesto, who some of you will know, and Manuel Lucena Geraldo. And this is How the Spanish Empire Was Built, a 400-year history. With blurbs on the back, no description on the back. Oh, there's a sheet here. Oh, gross. It's an invoice. Okay, we don't want that. Let's see what we have. We'll just look at the dust jacket like we were in a bookstore. 16th century Spain was small, poor, disunited, and sparsely populated. Yet the Spaniards and their allies built the largest empire the world had ever seen. How did they achieve this? The authors argue that Spain's engineers were crucial to this venture. The Spanish invested in infrastructure to the advantage of local power brokers, enhancing the abilities of incumbent elites to grow wealthy on trade and the widening arc of Spanish influence. Okay, euphemism much? Let's see here. Bringing to life stories of engineers, prospectors, soldiers, and priests, authors paint a vivid portrait of Spanish America in the Age of Conquest. I was wondering if America was even going to get named here. This is a dazzling new history of the Spanish Empire and a new understanding of the empire itself as a venture marked as much by collaboration as oppression. Good Lord. This book is not going to force me into the oppression Olympics on the side of the oppression Olympics, is it? That would be a cruel blow. I'm usually the first person in line to say, yes, right, you have a t-shirt, you have blue hair, and you have a ring through your nose like a livestock animal, and you also have a t-shirt that says oppression means is evil, that colonialization means evil. And I'm always the one in the back of the room saying it also means incalculably better health, incalculably improved sanitation, upward mobility for the very first time, usually in your entire people's entire millennia of history, more wealth for your family, a few names that you get called, but I'm always the one in the back of the room saying that, and now this book is forcing me to join the blue-haired slacktivists at the front of the room by pointing out that as much by collaboration as oppression, you're going to center the growth of the Spanish Empire on engineers? On engineers? Okay, well, I suppose you need engineers to build slave galleys. I suppose you need engineers to build gold mines. You don't so much need engineers to use horsehair, wooden-pommeled bullwhips to get slaves to work those mines, but you're certainly not going to work them yourself. Spanish galleons, that phrase used to be known to every schoolchild who dreamed of the seven seas. Spanish galleons loaded with gold. That's what built the Spanish Empire, and that gold was, well, anyway, we'll see what these two authors have to say, because they are, one of them anyway, Fernandez Amesto. His books include Straits and Out of Our Minds. Okay, fine, but do we have a longer list? Because he also wrote a book that I love about just a broader history of civilization. No, it doesn't appear to be in here. Okay, well, I'm all for it. I'm all for reading all about this. It sounds like it will be mildly revisionist, and that's fine by me. So we'll see. Then what is this next? Oh my. Okay. The publicist and I talked about this as well. Oh, I didn't know it would be so pretty. Okay. All right. Let me control myself here. This is by Roberta Olson, and it is called Audubon as Artist, a new look at the birds of America. John James Audubon did a gigantic book, and I don't mean long, I mean it was huge. You could raft on it out to sea, called Birds of America. It's epic. It's one of the great productions of American artistic and cultural life. It is one of the great American artifacts. And it's embattled because Audubon himself has been thoroughly canceled by the very blue-haired slacktivists I was just talking about. I read a book by a very good writer on Audubon just a few years ago that refused at any point along its line to refer to him as the artist who generated the paintings that are world famous, that have been world famous for centuries. The book sotto voce implied that he was not actually their painter, that it was the school of, or companions of, or in the influence of. And the only reason that very good author did that all throughout his book is because Audubon had been canceled. And there can't be any such thing as a slave owner who is a talented artist, or talented composer, or a talented writer. It's all or nothing. Not because you believe that. The author of that book is far too well informed to believe it, but because if you don't do it, you'll be canceled, and you like your job, and you enjoy tenure, and you like your house at the outskirts of town. Unfortunately, that address is public. So what have we got here? Is this also going to demote Audubon while it's celebrating him? Let's see here. Again, I don't have a sheet at all here, so we'll just read the dust jacket. And I don't. This is an academic. I mean, it's reaction books, but they are distributed through the University of Chicago. And academic books tend not to have any prices on them. This will probably be quite expensive. But I love Audubon. Absolutely love Audubon. John James Audubon, artist, naturalist, and creator of the celebrated The Birds of America. Well, we're off to a fine start. That's great. No mention of how few followers he has on Twitter. No mention of him being a slave owner, and direct attribution of his masterpiece to his hand. He is widely regarded as America's first exceptional watercolorist. This book offers a unique exploration of Audubon's artistic journey, intertwined with the drama of his life, unveiling how he studied both past and contemporary artists to forge entirely innovative, outstanding works of fine art. Okay. The author delves into the controversy surrounding this legendary figure who, for the first time in history, accurately represented all avian species life-size. Beautifully illustrated, this book chronicles how Audubon infused ornithological illustration with a sense of exhilaration. So true. So true. So many of his paintings are just alive. Breathing new life into once conventional formulas and transforming them into awe-inspiring masterpieces. This is almost 200 illustrations. Incredible. Okay, all right. Well, and not all Audubon. This is Trumbull, his famous historical paintings, in there. Maybe as an influence. Maybe as an oh, look at that. Oh man, there's the wild turkey. Look at that. Oh, all right. So this is, oh, how lovely. There, oh, I opened this totally by accident. Of course, this is tragedies creep in around the corners of Audubon's paintings because our world has changed. Here is a passenger pigeon. It was totally accidental. But notice, this isn't just the bird sitting on a branch. This is a little story. So many of Audubon's paintings tell a little story. My. Oh, goodness. Oh, look at this. How wonderful. On the top is Audubon with a collaborator, George Lehman, of an American coot. And on the bottom is Thomas Bewick, who did children's block bird illustrations that were extremely influential. And here we see them side by side. Look at that. Very good. Are you going to draw parallels? Can you support them? Very good. Fantastic. Okay. And there's Cruikshank painting John James Audubon with his horrible mouth. Oh my God. I don't mean his language. I mean his mouth was a battleground. Just a battleground. It's that you think what would happen if you brought these famous figures. Oh, is that Landseer? Oh, it is. I opened once again to Landseer. You think what would happen if you brought these famous historical figures forward, and you automatically associate it with their specialty. So you think if you brought Audubon forward, he'd immediately get out his sketch pad and start sketching the birds that he'd never seen that are here now. But he wouldn't. He might do that first, although, let's be honest here, if he saw a bird that he wanted to sketch, the first thing he'd pull out would be a gun. He would shoot it and then sketch the dead animal. But no, the thing he'd love most about our modern era would be dentistry. Common dentistry. To save him a lot of pain and humiliation. This is incredible. Absolutely incredible. Audubon as artist. I don't really care about Audubon as anything else, so this is fantastic. It'd be very interesting to see how much biography the author crams in here. Who is the author, dare we ask? Roberta Olson is Curator of Drawings Emerita at the New York Historical Society and Professor Emerita of Art History at Wheaton College, Massachusetts. Wow. Okay. All right. Fantastic. So she knows her subject. Great. Well, Steve is pleased. Very pleased. I'll have to check and see with the date on this thing. Is due right away, but very, very interesting. So we have Audubon as artist. We have how the Spanish Empire was built, and we have birds through indigenous eyes down at Arby's, talking about how Grammy viewed birds. So all nonfiction, and all also fairly abstruse. One is Princeton, the other two are Reaction, distributed through the University of Chicago. So it's possible that if you have, as so many of you do, just an ordinary suburban Barnes & Noble as the place where you go and look at new books, it's possible that they won't have any of these. They'll have a listing for them, of course. They'll be able to order them for you. But they won't just have them out on the shelf. So now you know they exist. You could get onto your library. This thing, that's quite the thing. I can't imagine a library buying such a thing, though. Because wouldn't it be torn apart in the course of just ordinary borrowing? I don't know how that would work. But catnip to me, to get a mail haul like this is catnip to me. It's all interesting nonfiction stuff. I will check the dates, and if the Audubon book has an upcoming date, it will go on the pile for tonight. But anyway, that's the mail for today. A part of it anyway. The one part I forlornly look for is not here. But that's okay. That's okay, because I am not in the dumps anymore. And I don't visit down in the dumps very often. So I don't know that there'll be another video like that. But I want to thank you all again for the response to it. That was amazing. Just amazing. So I'm going to wrap this up for now, but I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.